The CEO Jungkook was sitting behind his wooden desk. He was not just a CEO, he was a ruthless mafia boss, the one who controlled half the underworld in Seoul, but only his close people knew that. Stack of files were laid open in front of him, but his eyes were not on the papers. His expression was blank. Suddenly, the silence broke when the door opened. Han Min-ho, his assistant, nervous, loyal, and the only person who dared to interrupt. He slightly bowed. Boss, I got the information, the one you told me to find. Jungkook lifted from the file to his man. Show me. Minho nodded quickly and placed the silver laptop on the table. With his hands trembling like a jelly, he opened a folder titled Surveillance Footage. Jungkook leaned back in his chair. His long fingers were tapping on the armrest. His black shirt sleeves were rolled up, revealing veins running along his muscular arms. The video began. It showed a familiar woman walking into a luxurious hotel, long brown hair, expensive clothes, red lips, and a small smirk on her lips. Well, it was Jessie, his girlfriend. Jungkook jaw clenched. Minho gulped and spoke. Boss, this is from last night, Hotel XXX, room 2207. She went in with this man. He zoomed in. A tall man beside Jessie entered, and then they walked closer, too close. After that came the lift footage inside the elevator. Jessie laughed, looking at man, and brushed the man's shoulder. For a few seconds, Jungkook didn't say anything. He just stared at the screen. I knew it. Minho swallowed. Boss, should I tell me the room number again? It is room number 2207. It's a couple suite. Jungkook smirked and stood up from the chair in one swift motion. Minho instinctively took a step back, being afraid. He was surprised that while Jungkook was not shouting or slamming the things, Jungkook buttoned his blazer slowly. So that brat is spending, he said while smirking again, but his eyes burned rage. She played with the wrong man. Minho hesitated and then asked in a low voice, Boss, should I rent the car? Jungkook turned to him and said coldly, No, I will go myself. With that, he rushed out. Outside, his black Bentley was waiting. He slid into the seat and started the engine with a low chuckle. After a while, he stopped the car, reaching the XX hotel, and got down with a groan. As he burst inside, the receptionist was just preparing to close the lobby, but seeing Jungkook, he stopped. The staff immediately stiffened. His face was known in the elite circles. He was not someone ordinary. The dark aura surrounding him was enough to make everyone tremble near him. He walked straight to the front desk. Room 2207, give me the master key. The receptionist stammered, But sir, we are not allowed to. Jungkook chuckled sarcastically and then leaned forward, glaring at the lady who was standing at the reception desk. Do you know who am I? The lady gulped in fear and opened the drawer with her trembling hands. Please, sir, wait a moment. Jungkook nodded while tapping his fingers on the counter. Soon a master key card slid across the counter. Jungkook took it and rushed to the elevator. The scared lady on the counter ran to the bathroom. As Jungkook stepped into the dark elevator, he pressed the buttons and the lift started. The elevator ride to the 22nd floor was silent. The numbers ticked upward 15, 18, 20, 22. When the doors opened, Jungkook stepped out. His expressive shoes echoed in the silent lobby. As he reached the room 2207, he stopped at the door. For a moment he stood there, and there he swiped the card with a small whistle that sounded scarier than any music played in horror movies. As the card was swiped, the lock clicked open. He pushed the door slowly without caring that he was barging in someone's privacy without permission. He slowly tiptoed to the inside. There was a small lobby. It was dark. As he took few steps closer, his jaw clenched. as he saw his girlfriend. Jungkook scoffed and then grabbing a glass from the counter, he slammed it on the floor. The sound echoed in the bedroom. They both looked up and their eyes widened in shock. She quickly pushed away from her. The man fell down the bed. Jungkook, what are you doing here? Jungkook didn't reply, he just stepped closer with a smirk. This is what you do when I'm not around, he said, glaring at her, but to his surprise, Jessie was not that flinched or surprised seeing Jungkook. He had caught her, but there was no regret in Jessie's eyes, which was making him more pissed off. Her recent boyfriend was trembling. Jungkook had balled into fist. What are you saying? You are my girlfriend. She interrupted him by laughing ridiculously. Hey, what did you just say? A girlfriend? You don't love me. Let me remind you, Mr. Jungkook, that you made me your girlfriend because your dad wanted so. You get that? Jungkook's blood boiled, hearing that his hand balled into fist. It was true that Jungkook made Jessie her girlfriend because his father wanted to. He just didn't want to disappoint his dad, so he agreed to make Jessie his girlfriend, and there was no more reason behind it. His lips curved into a slow, dangerous smile as he looked at her. Oh, sorry. He tilted his head slightly, his tone dropped into a dark whisper. You messed up with the wrong man. He turned and walked out, leaving the door swinging behind him. Jessie sat there frozen. At night, Seoul was drowned in rain. Jungkook was standing by the large window of his bedroom. His one hand was tucked in his pocket, while the other was holding a glass. His face was calm, too calm, but his eyes they were burning quietly. Suddenly there was a knock on the door. Come in, he said without looking back. The door creaked open and Minho walked inside. He bowed slightly even though Jungkook was not looking at him. Boss, I found something about Jessie. I mean her weakness. Go on, he said flatly. She only has one family left. It's her younger sister named Lee Wyan. Jungkook's eyes narrowed as he whispered, Lee Wyan. Yes, sir, university student. She lives with Jessie. She seems innocent and she is the only weakness Jessie has. He opened the file and took out the photograph. With a low smile, he handed it to Jungkook. The moment Jungkook's eyes fell on the photograph, his heartbeat raced. He just stared at the photo for a few minutes and then, caressing it gently, he whispered, her only weakness. The next morning, inside the small but cozy apartment, you were sitting with Jessie at the breakfast table. You were smiling, cutting fruit while Jessie scrolled through her phone. Hey, Oni, you want toast or pancakes? Jessie typed something on her phone and then said politely, toast is fine today. You nodded with a warm smile. As you prepared the breakfast, you walked to the dining table and placed the food tray neatly in front of her. You looked at her tired, swollen eyes, which you were plopping on the chair next to her. Hey, Uni, you should have some rest too. Jessie smiled. I didn't sleep well last night. Maybe that hurts why? You sat spreading a jam on the slice of bread. Ding dong, the doorbell rang. Oh, maybe the parcel came. See, Tony. Okay, you ran to the door, still chewing a piece of toast, and opened it. But the moment you did, the smile vanished from your face. Outside were standing five men in black suits. And between them, a man whose aura made your heart stop for a moment. Jungkook. He was breathtakingly dangerous in his black coat. His hair was slightly wet from the drizzle outside. His dark eyes scanned your face slowly. For the first time, his chest tightened slightly. You looked nothing like Jessie. You looked pure, soft. You looked like at him with your big, innocent eyes. Ah, whom do you want to meet? Jungkook stepped forward. A playful smirk was dancing on his lips. He looked at you from head to toe and said, I want to meet you. You blinked innocently. Me? Before you could say anything more, Jungkook brushed past you and entered the house. Him and men followed him silently, spreading out in the living room. You stumbled back in fear and then you ran towards the dining area. Jessie was still scrolling through her phone. She asked without looking up, Hey Ryan, who is there? There was a no response for a moment, and then she heard the low, familiar chuckle which made her look up. Her eyes widened the moment her eyes landed on Jungkook. The color drained. Jungkook? Jungkook's smirk deepened. You got flinched. Jessie quickly looked at you with her teary eyes. You looked at her back with your confused eyes. Jungkook slowly tilted his head towards you. Jessie quickly rushed towards you and stopped in front of you, hiding you behind her. Hey, stay away from my sister. Jungkook chuckled darkly. Nah, babe, you hurt me. You glanced at him with your wide, afraid eyes. Jungkook heart raced the way your hands were trembling. Your tearful eyes, your beautiful face, everything about you was making him crazy. He took steps forward. Jessie trembled, yelling, Don't you! Before the words could fully leave her mouth, Jungkook caught your wrist. Tears started to roll down your eyes. Jessie cried louder and tried to lean forward. Oni! You screamed. You looked into his eyes with tears dropping down your cheeks. Jungkook had did a back flip the moment your soft pink lips moved as you spoke. Don't cry, princess. You love your sister, right? He asked, tucking a loose strand of your hair behind your ear. You quickly nodded. He smirked and said, Fine, marry me. Your eyes widened, hearing that while Jessie yelled, No, Mayan, never ever. Seeing your sister crying like that, your heart ached after your parents died. She raised you up like her own daughter, and you loved her dearly. Between the sobbings, you looked up at Jungkook. I will. He stared at you. Your innocent, pleading eyes were something he had not seen in years. Yes, I will let her go. Jungkook's expression softened for a moment, and then he nodded with a light smile. Hmm, good girl. He turned to his men. Leave her. You cried louder, but suddenly left your mouth. The door closed with a loud thud, cutting off her screams. Jungkook sat on the passenger seat beside you. After a while, the grand hall was filled with the scent of white roses and candlelight. You were standing in a white gown you never chose. Your hands were trembling, and the veil was covering half your face. Jungkook was standing beside you. He was dressed in a black tuxedo and was staring at your beautiful face with his intense dark eyes. The priest looked between the two of you and began in a trembling voice. Do you, Jungkook, take Livayan to be your lawfully wedded wife? Jungkook nodded his head with a light smile. I do. Do you take Jungkook to be your lawfully wedded husband? You didn't speak for a moment. Jungkook cleared his throat with his hands balled into face. You let out a low sigh, and glaring at him, you said, I do. The priest smiled awkwardly, trying to sound the cheerful. Your eyes widened under the veil, your heartbeat raced. But it was not. You felt your heart skip, and without realizing, your eyes fluttered closed. You never felt something like that before. After a while, when the ceremony ended, Jungkook walked you out. His men followed instantly. In the car, he turned the screen on and showed you the footage. Jessie was safe, sitting in her house, crying as Jungkook's men left. See, I kept my promise. Seeing your sister crying like that, your heart ached, but you were content that she was safe. After a while, you were sitting on the edge of the bed, your hands were clutching the blanket nervously. The rain outside had not stopped. It whispered against the window as thunder rolled far away. The door opened and Jungkook entered inside, his mug silently, seeing you sitting there. He sat on the bed beside you. Stop crying. I was joking, okay? You stifled, not believing him at first. I will sleep on the sofa. You take the bed. Good night. You blinked, surprised by his sudden gentleness. Jungkook turned off the lamp on his side and laid down on the bed, staring at the ceiling for a long time. You decided not to put a lot of pressure on your small mind, and finally you fell asleep. When he turned slightly, he saw your face in the dim light, calm, innocent, beautiful even in sleep. His lips curved into a smirk, genuine smile. Eh, she's so innocent, he whispered to himself. The next morning, you yawned, stretching a little before sitting up. The room was peaceful until the bedroom door opened. Jungkook stepped out, steam was flowing behind him. He had just showered. Your eyes widened while your jaw dropped. Yay! You shouted. Jungkook blinked at your sudden shout. What happened? You pointed at him with trembling finger. Your cheeks were turning red. Jungkook's eyes widened, then he burst into a soft laugh. His smile faded in an instant. You felt regretted seeing him getting sad. Ah, before you could say something, he quickly went back inside the bathroom. HYN, you are right. Why are you feeling bad? After a while at breakfast table, you were sitting across from him, eating silently. Jungkook sipped his coffee, but his eyes were unknowingly drawn to you again. The way you tucked your hair behind your ear, the way you frowned slightly while trying to butter your toast, was making him flustered. He didn't understand why his chest felt warm watching you, the warmth he never ever felt before. You looked up suddenly, catching him staring. Hey, why are you staring at me like that? Never saw a girl eating before? Jungkook blinked, caught off guard. The mates looked at each other, surprised. No, I was just thinking. He cleared his throat and looked away. You frowned. Thinking about what? Nothing. Enjoy your breakfast. You huffed, rolling your eyes. Weird man. Jungkook smiled weakly. After a while, he tried to reach for a bowl near you. Wine, can you please pass me the bowl? You didn't even look up. Take it yourself. I'm not your servant. He froze mid motion, blinking at your tone, then he chuckled softly under his breath and reached for the bowl himself. No worries, I will help myself, he said while chuckling. The maids behind him shared a confused look after 2 days in the evening. Jungkook was sitting on the sofa while tapping something on his laptop. You gave him a look and went to the bathroom. You looked at your reflection in the bathroom mirror and your eyes widened. Your cheeks had turned red. He's a good man. You quickly shrugged those thoughts and started to take a shower. After a while, your eyes widened. You looked around helplessly, then sighed. You took a deep breath, opened the door just slightly, just enough to peek your head out, and saw him still working. Jungkook, you asked softly. He didn't hear you at first. You called again, this time a little louder. Hey, Jungkook. This time he looked up immediately, adjusting his glasses. What happened? You hesitated, your cheeks were burning. For a second, Jungkook's heartbeat raced. He stood up slowly, his jaw tightened as he tried not to imagine. Okay, tell me where they are. On the bed, you replied shyly. His hands were slightly trembling. You opened the door slightly. Just hand them here. You said, stretching your hand out through the small gap. He gulped and stepped forward. He raised his hand up to handle you, but his foot slipped on the rug and he stumbled forward. You kept spinning around instinctively, but it was too late, and then your eyes widened when you fell down. He gulped and quickly tried to stand, but due to so firm, he slipped. You both stared at each other with your mouth wide open. He stood up and rushed out of the bathroom, shutting the door behind him while you just stayed there with red cheeks and lips. After a week, it's been a week to that incident, and now you both fell for each other. This morning you requested Jungkook to take you to your sister's house and he couldn't deny, so he took you there. Right now you were standing in Jessie's house. Her boyfriend was standing beside her. You hugged your sister and told her everything, that how Jungkook took care of you, how kind he remained to you. First she didn't believe, but seeing the pure love in your eyes, she couldn't resist. You smiled with tears of happiness and side hugged Jungkook.